Most parents sacrifice everything for their children. Shopping later, vacation when the kids are settled, hobbies maybe after retirement. They spend their entire life building a future for their family, but they never got to enjoy their own present. That sacrifice doesn't just affect them, it programs the next generation to do the exact same thing. In this video, I am breaking down why some people can never spend on themselves, where that guilt actually comes from, and how this pattern passes from one generation to the next. There is a pattern that exists in millions of families around the world. Parent earns well, they could afford small luxuries, a nice dinner, a weekend trip, something just for themselves. But they don't, because in their mind, every dollar spent on themselves is a dollar taken away from their children. Every purchase feels selfish. Every moment of joy feels like a betrayal from their responsibilities. This isn't love. This is deferred life syndrome. Psychologists use this term to describe people who postpone their own happiness indefinitely, always waiting for the perfect moment to finally live. I will enjoy my life after the kids are graduated, after they are married and settled, after I retire. And here's what happened to these people. Someday keeps moving and eventually they run out of time. I know this because I watched it happen. My father had one goal: make sure all his kids are well educated, stable, able to stand on their own feet. He worked for decades, said no to himself over and over so he could say yes to us. And now we are all well educated, stable, everything he wanted. But he's not here to see it. That's what broke me. I realized something, that he spent his entire life building a future he never got to live in. That was his way of showing love. By sacrificing everything, delaying joy, measuring his worth by what he gave up, not by what he allowed himself to receive. Here's the truth about people like my father. Their children don't need them to destroy themselves to prove love. Children need to see that hard work can lead to happiness, not just more responsibility. When all they witness is sacrifice without joy, that becomes a lesson they carry forward. Work hard, earn money, give everything away, and repeat. The cycle continues and nobody questions it. You know where it gets even more interesting? This pattern doesn't end with the parents, it transfers. There are people, adults, financially stable, earning well, who still cannot spend on themselves without feeling sick about it. They buy something they have wanted for months, and the moment they do, the guilt floods in. I shouldn't have done that. That money could have gone to saving. What if someone in my family needs it? But logically they know they can afford it. They know they are not being reckless. But the guilt is still there, loud, persistent, overwhelming. These people didn't create that guilt themselves. They inherited it. They watched their parents say no to themselves and yes to everyone else in the family over and over. And somewhere deep in their developing minds, they absorbed a belief. Good people give, selfish people take, and spending on themselves is taking. This is intergenerational sacrifice schema, a learned belief system where worth becomes tied to how much a person can give up, not how much they allow themselves to receive. But that's not what their parents wanted. Parents who sacrificed everything didn't do it so their children could live the same restricted, guilt-ridden life. They did it so their children wouldn't have to. When people carry this inherited guilt, when they refuse to spend on themselves when they can, they are not honoring that sacrifice. They are saying it wasn't enough to set them free. The guilt these people feel isn't logical. It's not theirs. It was handed to them. And they never realize they can put it down any time. And here's the part nobody sees coming. This pattern has a next chapter. There are parents right now, devoted, hardworking, loving parents, who are unknowingly teaching their kids something very dangerous. Not through words, not through lectures, through what their children watch them do every single day. When children watch a parent earn money but never spend on themselves, when they watch someone succeed but never celebrate, when they watch someone rest but apologize for it, they don't just observe it, they learn from it. They learn that this is what being responsible looks like. You give until there is nothing left of yourself. They learn that suffering equals love and sacrifice equals worth. And when those children grow up, they do the exact same thing with their own money, with their own lives, with their own joy, and eventually with their own children. It's a generational loop. It passes silently and invisibly from parent to child to grandchild. Nobody teaches it deliberately. Nobody chooses it consciously. But it repeats generation after generation, until someone notices. The greatest thing a parent can model for their children isn't sacrifice, it's wholeness. Children who watch their parents earn and spend on themselves intentionally, they learn that hard work leads to joy, not just more responsibility. Children who watch their parents rest without guilt learn that taking care isn't selfish, it's necessary. Children who watch their parents celebrate their own wins learn that I am allowed to enjoy what I build. That's the cycle worth passing down. Not inherited guilt, not deferred life, but permission. Permission to provide and receive. Permission to work hard and rest fully. Permission to love your family and love yourself. These are not opposites. They are both part of being whole. If this pattern exists in a family right now, if there are parents sacrificing in silence, saying no to themselves over and over, the powerful thing that can happen is awareness. Because you cannot break a cycle you cannot see. But once you see it, the loop can end right now, right here, with one generation that chooses differently. There are people who spend their entire lives building a future they never got to live in. Let's make sure that story ends with them. Subscribe for the psychology that explains the patterns we inherit and help us decide which one to keep. Comment below, have you ever noticed this pattern in someone you love? See you next time.